No.
The next steps would be to eventually do the point taking. Remember, that was like the original one.
Yes.
Because they were learning how to tally and to
Yes.
score points and stuff. So they could maybe get a 10 frame, and they would each roll a dice, and whoever would have the greater number, they would color in a square in their 10 frame in their color, and then whoever gets the next.
Yeah, and I think we could try that with like some of the SKs. Some of the SKs that they might be ready for that.
Small group.
A small group, definitely.
Yeah.
You have to like probably cherry pick them.
Yeah.
So how do you figure out like which big idea to focus on? Are you?
Well, for this year, I've been trying to focus on the math processes.
Oh, okay.
And the thinking tools. So we had started some just making up games. And then I thought, well, why don't I try and incorporate some of these thinking tools into the games? So that's how, like, this week's idea.
Even, like the story as well, when we were telling the story about the penguins falling on the ice, the monkeys jumping on the
It was
bed.
the ice storm, last week.
Yeah. So like she drew it out, and then she used magnets to show, okay, there are 5 penguins on the ice. If one falls and gets hurt, they go to the house. Now there is 4 left, and then
like last week, it was we looked at a number line, but backwards, because it was 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And then I thought, okay, well, let me relate that to the number line that we have been working with.
So I guess the integration is easier.
Yeah, I find it.
I actually, even in grade 6, I'm finding integration is so much easier if it's an open based, inquiry based kind of a program. Because in grade 6, I don't have a literacy, like I just have a literacy block and a numeracy block. I don't have a social studies time or a science time, because all of that's coming through my literacy and math, right? And I'm finding the more math I do, meaningful math, where they discover, the easier it is for them to get their literacy comprehension strategies. Because it's just so much easier to do a comprehension strategy in a word problem.
Yes.
Because it's a short text, and they're really inferring, they're making connections. And by grade 6, they're also looking at biases, because we were looking at data and how some companies decide to ignore certain data but show certain data to show how well they're doing. And like I think someone brought a fact, 90% of the people drink, it was something to do with Coke, I can't remember now. And another person, a student asked, well, it depends on how many people they interviewed.
Yes,
right? Like if but they didn't show that. They were just saying 90%.
Right.
Which seems like the whole world, 90% of them.
10 as a sample.
Absolutely.
Right.
What's the sample size, right? So I'm just finding it's easier that way.
Yeah. And like in kindergarten, I'd say all of the math lessons are always anchored first in a story.
Oh, okay.
So last week I started with this 5 little penguins slipping on the ice because of the ice storm. So again, like it's a song, it's a countdown, and then once it's anchored in a literacy, then they're able to connect to the numbers so much better. And then I was thinking the next step would be a problem solving. So the Tacky, we were doing Tacky the penguin. I wanted to do, okay, if Tacky, we're going to count his toes, he has 6 toes. If there's one penguin at 6 toes, how many toes would 2 penguins have? Or depending on the child, it might be, I know, okay, you could do 3 penguins. How many toes do 3 penguins have? But anchoring it in a literacy makes all the difference for engagement and connections.
And a lot of times too, when you're reading a storybook, I remember like last semester, you would say like create a problem, and I say me, and like get a partner and talk about it.
So we were looking at those accountable talk moves. Then,
Definitely.
With the,
and then they would share their thoughts, and then
and I think like starting this in kindergarten, they can do it.
They can do it.
They can totally do it when it's something that they're interested in and it's fun. Then you slip in all these other things, and they're still happy to do it.
But even the other things, you're doing it as a game, right? It's not like here's a worksheet, color in 5 penguins, right? So you're doing So
even with the magnets, after the lesson, some kids came up to the board and they incorporated the dice. Remember?
Yes, yeah. So then it was a retell. So we made, you know, like on the whiteboard, I drew out where the characters in the story had been, and then we did it again and physically moved them, and then it became a retell, as well as that one little kid, they added the dice just naturally into the retell.
And it was good because I remember when you represented the penguins with magnets. I remember when you first introduced that one, I was there was with the ballerinas. I think you used pom-poms.
Yeah.
But not everyone got that the pom-poms or something that you used were the ballerinas. But I think that now they got it.
They can see that it doesn't have to be a penguin to represent.
So so that's actually representation.
Yeah.
Right.
Like that's your math process.
Yeah.
In a very literal way right now, but eventually, like even with this, I think they can. That might be a good question even to ask. What's same?
Yeah. What's the
and
same
what's
about
different?
That's a great question.
Right, and then they could actually do the representation and connections between the tools. And see if they can do a little journal, record themselves, what's same, what's different.
No, doing this math planning time, the math processes have been like the best way that I can go into all these different classes when all these other things are happening and make that's the consistent part. Sometimes the story is, but each class is doing something a little bit different, but you can just relate it to.
I wonder if you could do the same with like a big idea. So if you take a big idea from whatever and math and then say, okay, I'm going to be focusing on that big idea.
Yeah. Well, like
which you are.
Like these
which
thinking
you are.
tools.
Yeah.
Yeah.